and welcome to Magic Box Story Time with me, Lottie. Now, today is the final chapter of the tale of the pilot and the race. Penelope and her crew have made it through Flibbity Foggity Wood and over so many obstacles. Will they complete the race? Let's find out. Chapter 6, A Trail of Drops. They searched and they searched, but they couldn't find the runaround rainbow, which meant it had probably run around and popped up somewhere else. Everyone was on the verge of feeling quite disappointed, but then Penelope, who was staring hard at the grass at her feet, gasped loudly. She said, "Look, is that or is that not a rainbow drop right here, next to that daisy?" They all leaned in and had a look. Jodie and her friends, what with being from East London, hadn't ever really seen a rainbow drop before, so they weren't sure what they were looking at was one. But Penelope seemed very sure indeed. "Can you see any more?" she said. They all started searching again, and sure enough, more drops were found. "It's a trail," said Penelope. "Come on, let's follow them." They carefully followed the trail of beautiful rainbow drops, and it turned out to be quite long, leading them out of the meadow, down a hill, across a stream, and then, finally, at the top of the next hill, they saw it. "Jumping Jehoshaphat!" yelped Penelope, grabbing Jodie in her excitement. "There it is! The runaround rainbow! Isn't it beautiful?" The crew had to agree that it was. It was the longest, most glittering and multicoloured rainbow they had ever clapped eyes on. They could have stood and gazed at it for days, but they didn't have that kind of time. "Oh, I do hope the pot of gold is still there at the end of it," said Penelope. "How do we find out?" asked Jodie. And Penelope grinned. "Only one way we can," she said. "We climb on and slide down it." "Climb on?" said Toilet Situation. "Climb on a rainbow? Can you do that?" "Of course," said Penelope, even though she'd never tried. "Don't worry, crew, it's perfectly safe. I'll go first. You watch and learn and then follow." She hoisted a leg over the rainbow so it looked like she was sitting on a long rainbow-shaped horse. Then she pushed off and shrieked, "Whee!" "That looks fantastic," said Jodie. "Does it?" said Toilet Situation, wishing more than ever that he'd remembered to bring his sense of adventure with him. Jodie told them they could go as a pair, which made him feel better. And on they clambered, and down they slid. It was absolutely the best time Toilet Situation had ever had, and he decided he was going to try every scary-looking ride he came across in the future, whether he'd remembered his sense of adventure or not. Jodie whooped and screamed all the way because she had loved scary rides since birth. The rest of the crew followed, and although they didn't think life could get any better than sliding down a giant glittering rainbow, actually it could, because when they got to the end of it, the pot of gold was sitting there waiting for them. I can't believe it's here," cried Penelope. "We're the first! We've won!" She skipped around the huge pot, which was much bigger than any of them had been expecting, and absolutely brimming over with gold. "Your village will be so happy," said Jodie. "I know," sighed Penelope. "Plus, they won't think I'm mad anymore because I've actually done it. I'm the first female pilot to win the great runaround rainbow air race." She turned to the group of small people. "And I simply couldn't have done it without you, crew. You're positively the best crew a girl could wish for. You must have some rainbow gold." Well, Jodie and her friends were not expecting that. They just wanted to help Penelope compete in the race. but their pilot plunged her hands into the pot of gold and made sure everyone got some. As she handed it out, she spoke to each of them in turn. "Hope you're feeling better soon," she said to the one with the cold. "Great idea you had back there," she said to the one in blue trainers. "Make sure you meditate before leaving, won't you?" she said to Yoga Breaths. "Think there's a public loo just over there," she said to Toilet Situation. But he smiled and shook his head and said he didn't need to go anymore. When she got to Jodie, Penelope gave her some rainbow gold and shook her firmly by the hand and gave her the special Czechoslovakian pilot salute. That's it. "Spiffing work, old girl," she said. "As far as I'm concerned, you are already the best co-pilot in the universe." Jodie thanked her and couldn't help feeling that she might be. They sat, rested, and drank some of the rainbow drops, which were almost as good as the woodland juice. Then they sang a song which told of their adventures. It goes a bit like this. "A magnificent crew in our Boudica plane. We flew up, diddly up, up. We fell down, diddly down, down. We climbed out of a hole and we made woodland friends. We got through the thick fog and found gold in the end." Funny little song. In the end, Penelope stood up and said she really ought to go and fetch Boudica so she could load up the pot of gold and fly back to Root. "But I'm sure we'll meet again," she said to her loyal crew. And then she walked off into the sunset. "She's very cool, isn't she?" said Jodie, gazing after the pilot. Toilet Situation nodded. "She is," he said. "You're right. But I just have one question." "What's that?" asked Jodie. Toilet Situation looked from her to the rainbow, to the beautiful setting sun, and said, "How on earth do we get home?" I wonder, how do you think they got home? I'm not sure, apart from one thing. I bet they did. And that is the end of the tale of the pilot and the race. I am so pleased Penelope won. Wow, and how amazing would it be to slide down a rainbow? Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this tale on Magic Box Storytime with me, Lottie. I'll see you next time for another crazy story. Until then, bye-bye.